Is Ramona really getting fired from the Real Housewives of New York City? Let's talk about it. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy DJRichieSkye back with another video. I just gotten off my live and we were talking about Potomac and Love and Hip Hop. And I remembered that I really wanted to have a discussion about Real Housewives of New York and this rumor that your girl Ramona Singer may be getting the axe. Okay, there's a rumor. And I think we need to put this rumor into context before we actually discuss whether or not she is fired or she isn't fired, or what's to come of this situation. And I want to know what you guys think. And I think this discussion deserves to go back to a couple of days ago when I happened to catch something online, and I posted about it in my Instagram stories. Okay, so I'm going to pull that up right now. And it's basically this. Real Housewives of New York viewership has plummeted to an all-time low. Now, I will admit to you guys, I have been watching this season of the Real Housewives of New York. I just haven't had the mental capacity to review it. It's not because I don't want to. I actually do want to, but it's just that there are so many shows on right now. And then I still want to keep up with my news content. So I still want to be able to put out news videos. And I'm not sitting at the computer literally all day. There are other things that I'm trying to accomplish after this, but it's just a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. And hopefully I will be able to start reviewing the show as time moves on, especially after my birthday. Having said all that, it's interesting because when you read this from the Real Housewives franchise page on Instagram, it basically said that last week's episode was the lowest rated episode of all time, besides the secrets revealed episodes of season 7 and 12. With only 764,000 live viewers, what do you think needs to change next season? And then so they ask about sounding off in the comments. I reposted this on my Instagram stories and I asked people, what their thoughts were, because I just wanted to get a general sense. I didn't post it because, I was thinking to myself, should I do a video on this or should I not do it? Should I post people's responses? And ultimately I decided not to because some of the comments were kind of wild. Okay. Some people were commenting that, it's summertime, so people aren't really watching TV like that. I've gotten a lot of that as I've noted that several reality TV shows ratings have gone down. I think it's been across the board, at least for the mainstays, the veteran shows. So some people were saying that it's summertime. Everybody's going back outside because, they've, gotten vaccinated, this, that, and the third, and they want to travel now. People are, another response that I got with it was that people are just not really watching these types of shows anymore because, maybe something changed for them during the pandemic and the shows don't really mean as much to them as they may be used to. Other people say that Real Housewives of New York specifically they're missing those major characters, those headlining characters like Dorinda, like Bethany. And a lot of people were also saying that they miss Tinsley as well. We do tend to miss the people that we have grown accustomed to seeing as part of the franchise. And Dorinda was such a huge mainstay, even though she had a bad season last season, and we definitely didn't always like her behavior. We still love Dorinda and who she was, who she represents, and she is definitely quintessential New York at this point in time. I also think that personally, I think that Dorinda could have served as a nice bridge between a character type like a Ramona and a character type like a Leah and a character type like an Ebony. You know what I'm saying? Ebony is new, so it would have been nice because Dorinda is typically very she just thinks in a liberal way, and I think she is always been supportive of all types of different movements. Not always, but typically. And I could have seen her and Ebony really hitting it off in a way that could act as a bridge between her, like someone like Ramona and Ebony. Whatever the case may be, I think Dorinda was needed this season. I also think that, some people are loving the discussions about, race, racial tensions, and what it's bringing out of the women. And some people are not here for it at all, and thus maybe tuning out as well. So these are harsh discussions that need to be had because it's the reality of the show as it stands at this point. Okay. So in keeping that in mind, we also know that, there is now a pretty well documented rumor that Ramona Singer is allegedly getting the axe. So let's bring that up and let's talk about that, because that comes to us from Radar Online. Now, I am bringing up this article title page from our good friend Kiki over at The Talk of Shame. So if you can, please go ahead and give her a follow, because she has a great page. I love her. She's awesome. And she posted that. And what we can see here from the article, just to kind of summarize a little bit of it, they talk about, after Kelly Dodd got fired, how Bravo is doing a little bit of doing some cleaning house. And again, this is from Radar Online. They came out with the exclusive yesterday, and it's kind of all over the place. And I really wanted to have a deep dive conversation with you about it. I meant to do it earlier, but I'm doing it now. So let's just go with it. They're saying that she's the only original housewife of that city that's never left from day one. You guys may recall, since Luann started in the beginning too, she was demoted during one season. And fun fact that I heard, so it may not be fact, okay? But I heard that when Luann was demoted, it was because Luann, Ramona, and Sonia were all holding out for a bigger paycheck, allegedly. And they allegedly started filming because they realized that they weren't going to get any more. And so because they started filming and Luann didn't, she was demoted. But what I heard was that Luann still made a nice hefty sum, because what she did is that she got a day rate and she seemed to film much of the season with the rest of the cast. So the following season, she was brought back on as a full-time housewife, and she really did bring it that season as a friend. So I think it kind of worked in her favor to some degree. But now that Ramona is the longest running OG, they're saying that allegedly she's not going to be asked back next season. Not that the season is in production or anything like that, but they're saying it's because she's too expensive. Okay. She's been on the show since day one, and her salary reflects it. Okay. This is what the source said to Radar Online. And they also said that, now here's the interesting part. They said that plus the basic premise of the show doesn't work anymore. A bunch of older white women behaving badly was fun a decade ago, but not today. The world has changed, and if the show wants to survive another decade, it must change too, and that starts with the cast. Now, interestingly, they point out that after Kelly was fired, she said she blamed her firing on the woke broke people, okay? Because, according to her, if you're woke, you're broke. And so the source is also saying something to the effect that Ramona is not understanding why the show is changing and why her behavior doesn't work for TV anymore, especially when she had been rewarded for over a decade of, shenanigans. Why is that not cool today? Well, I mean, definitely the world has definitely changed. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of ways it's definitely for the better, because, a lot more people are becoming, and I hate to say it, there is an awakening happening across the land. Okay. There is some of that, but there's also, interestingly enough, I think that the trend is changing with regards to what it means to be a housewife. And some housewives can adapt and some can't, you know. And in certain instances, you know, for me, I always say this. You have got to begin to, at a certain point in time, cycle in new housewives so that no one ever gets stale. No one ever believes that they are irreplaceable. No one believes that it's my show. You know, we did see that happen with Vicki Gunvalson. I believe we've seen Teresa say that at a certain point in time, you know, and Bravo is showing that they're not afraid to start making some tough calls. Interestingly, a lot of people were really disappointed that Dorinda didn't come back and they brought back Ramona instead. And I thought that was very interesting because, again, I do feel like Dorinda is probably more of a quintessential character for that show in terms of the fans that are watching now, as well as the people that have been watching from the beginning. But I do believe that there is some merit in having a Ramona on the show, unless it just doesn't make sense and cost is a factor. If she may be willing to take a pay cut, then I say maybe bring her back. But for the most part, by and large, I would say that, you know, Real Housewives of Atlanta just needs a bigger cast. I think that this season would have worked a lot better if there were more women and if there were more dynamic women. And I got to show you guys this. I'm going to pull it up right now because I think that it's worth noting. I love this site right here that I'm going to point out to you. It's another Instagram page, but it's TV Deets. Please follow them. And they posted this photo right here. And they said, imagine if we got this cast for next season. So what we have here is the current cast as it stands now, plus Bershawn, who is a friend of the show, plus Dorinda, and plus Tinsley. Now, to me, I feel like this is the answer for bringing Real Housewives of New York back to its greatness, because now I feel like you have a much more well-rounded cast. And I think if Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is anything to go by, then it works better when there are more women on the cast. It works better, first of all, when there are at least 7 women at this point. And I know back in the day, Real Housewives of New Jersey was epic when it only had 4 women, okay? And when it only had 5 women. And Real Housewives of Orange County was epic when it only had 5 women at certain points. But I feel like moving into the new phase that we're in now, I feel like that doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. And I think that 7 to 8 cast members is definitely the way to go. At least 7, and maybe having a friend of, because you then get a lot more different personalities, and it allows for you to make and build a more fast-paced show with all of these different eccentric personalities merging together. And then we get that classic New York feel with a bit of brand new New York feeling and real New York, you know what I'm saying? Because New York is such a melting pot of individuals and backgrounds and, you know, ethnicities. And so I feel like this cast right here is a bit more reflective of what we know to be the city of New York and how great it is. And I think here you have a dynamic cast that could really win. And again, shout out to TV Deets for this edit right here, because I'm actually really loving it a lot. And Bravo, I hope you're listening to this. You know, I will say that I don't think firing all the OGs is the answer, but I do believe that having a well-rounded and diverse cast with multiple women, I feel like is the answer moving forward. Because for some people, while Ramona does not work, there are some people that definitely identify with Ramona. There are some people who love the nostalgia of Ramona and what she means to the show. But it will be up to her and the network to see and figure out, can they balance the budget, okay, with keeping her on the show? That's going to be the question that we see come in as we begin to roll into next season. I would love to see some familiar faces back on that show, whether it be a Bethany. Dorinda is a must in my book. You know, again, Bethany brings a lot to New York. But who knows whether or not she'll actually come back now that she's out of her current deals. Okay. We'll have to see how that works. And I wouldn't even mind bringing back Tinsley because I do feel like there's some value in having her there, especially with the added mix of Bershawn and Ebony, and just seeing how they help. I think that they could be potentially great cast members to help Tinsley grow, okay, in ways that I feel like she may need to. And I don't mean any disrespect by that. I just mean that I know that she's gone through some life struggles in terms of, this past relationship ending. But that's neither here nor there. That's a story for another day. I just wanted to come and talk to you guys about this and give you my thoughts on it, explain to you why I hadn't been reviewing the show. I have been watching it. I watch it avidly every week. And I note all of the opinions on social media. But for me, I'm not the type of person that ever cancels a show or dismisses a show because I don't agree with the current cast or the current formula or whatever the case may be. I just stick with it because I'm a fan of the shows and I want to see where it goes and how it blossoms and what comes forward and how the characters grow. That's just who I am and what I like to do. Anyway, I want to know your thoughts. Should they get rid of Ramona? Should they keep Ramona? Do you like where Real Housewives of New York is? Why aren't you watching? And will you start back watching so we can get these ratings back up and continue to watch this great franchise? With that being said, guys, I will catch you in the next video.